Liking gacha games is a red flag, and you may be a gambling addict. It might be time to analyze yourself. Let's talk about it right now. Look, I'm assuming you are human if you're watching this video. And if that's the case, then you like to feel pleasure. This is no secret. Video games can be incredibly potent in delivering pleasure to the end user, especially highly polished, fast-paced games full of stimulating colors and effects. It's no secret that many gacha games contain beautiful, well-designed art along with a relatively polished gameplay loop. This is enough to hook a large portion of players who already enjoy video games. However, there is something far more sinister contributing to addicting a large amount of players to the gacha archetype. But first, let's talk about how some of us may end up in this rabbit hole. If you are like me, then you've played thousands of hours of video games. It is not uncommon for someone to burn out of games. In fact, I'm inclined to say that a lot of us are currently experiencing burnout due to many reasons, but mostly because of the overly safe and overly monetized game industry. Games are already addicting, and a lot of people who seek to escape through games do so because it gives them some sense of pleasure while also offering them an escape. This pleasure is partially in thanks to a dopamine response that triggers endorphins in the brain. As we continue to play various games, or even the same game, the amount of pleasure we experience diminishes, and due to this fact, we go out to seek the next experience that can evoke an emotional response. The reason I feel this way is because gacha games have cultivated an experience that has embedded stakes into their framework. This causes an unhealthy addiction that is almost synonymous with gambling addiction. Look, adding stakes into things is exciting. Look at creators like Mr. Beast, who generates millions of views due to some of the high stakes involved in the content they produce, such as game show-esque challenges in which thousands of dollars are at stake for the potential winners. Mr. Beast learned that attaching stakes to his videos was a cheat to enticing clicks due to the way that humans naturally respond to it. Well, what if I said that in this same vein, gacha companies have tapped into this natural desire that humans have for implications to be involved? I mean, as I've said already, video games are already highly stimulating and can be very addictive. Now imagine this while also adding financial investment opportunities to the player. In one way, it creates a certain degree of risk while also providing a feeling that coincides with being taboo. Most people would advise against spending money. And to that same degree, I'd say most people generally would agree that it's a waste to spend excess money on games. However, despite that, people still do it to a high degree in games, and typically to an even higher degree in gacha games. In other traditional games, you purchase a virtual item that is in most cases guaranteed and typically isn't the primary focus of the game, such as skins for characters or weapon camos. These things add flair to the core subject material of a game without interfering with them. In gacha games, the primary item offered for sale is the characters. And for gacha games in particular, the characters are essential to the gameplay loop, and of course to the mechanics of the game. On top of this, there are always negative implications to not getting characters, as opposed to in traditional games where the purchasable items aren't going to negatively impact the player's gameplay experience in any tangible way. This is due to the fact that at the very minimum, if you do not receive a certain character, then you have slightly less options while constructing a team. And at the very worst, your account's overall power level will be diminished due to not having an essential meta-defining character. The fact that it is not guaranteed to receive these characters only serves to create stakes for the player to attempt to overcome. In order to overcome these stakes, the player either has to play more in order to farm resources, or they have to spend money. In both cases, the game developer wins. Now, the stakes pertaining to winning or losing can already be addicting. I mean, look at esports titles and the countless hours people invest into them, chasing those win streaks, climbing that virtual ladder. But then we add the ability for players to invest their real-world finances into the system, and now you've multiplicatively intensified the emotional engagement attached to this win or loss. This emotional response is incredibly addicting in both senses. When you win, you feel great. The pressure is relieved, and you're now excited to enjoy the newest character available. Then there's the losses that serve to create a feeling of dread, or that push a person to financially invest more in order to overcome this feeling. After all, gacha games create problems and then provide the ability to overcome them through liquidity. Both the feeling of winning or losing, respectively, coalesce together to create an overarching experience of high stakes for a player that is putting their actual money on the line. Essentially, gacha games have created an experience that evokes emotion and is fully catered around you. Humans are naturally self-centered. We are drawn to things that emphasize us. This is why customer service is so fervently taught in businesses, and in a lot of these trainings, you are taught to use a person's name. This is because it feels catered to you when they are able to use your name. We naturally enjoy things that are about us or that pertain to us because we are the center of our existence. And so now we have a situation in which we insert our real life currency into this digital game with real life implications. Money is obviously integral to most people living in modern society. And so when we spend it in these games, it artificially inflates the importance of them. Because this is a tangible real life item that is directly attached to us and even to our well-being in almost all cases, this only serves to highly intensify the experience of gambling for your virtual waifu. You know, about 10 years ago, and I know I'm dating myself here, I'm an old man, I think that most gaming consumers would have never allowed the practices that we see in gacha games. And yet, even I myself am highly addicted to them. And it took moments of reflection to realize that it is becoming an issue. I believe we have been desensitized to the feelings games used to give us, and thus we've begun to allow ourselves to put more on the line in order to feel more. This then creates a negative habit, which I, and I'm sure others, have ignored or not truly realized the scope of. So, in conclusion, all I can say is please be careful with the habits that you allow yourself to succumb to. Take a look at yourself and analyze if gacha games are becoming an issue for you. Be honest with yourself. Because of this, I will be making a promise that I will no longer be spending money on gacha games going forward. I simply do not care if I can clear the end game. I do not care if I miss out on the newest, most powerful character. I will simply enjoy the hours of free entertainment that is available to me, and that will be it. Now, if you do spend money on the games, that's fine. I'm not here to shame you. You're the reason that I'm able to play the game and that I'm able to decide not to spend money on it. However, I don't encourage spending money on these games in general, and especially not for those without the liquidity to do so. So, regardless, be safe, enjoy your games, but don't allow them to corrode at your sensibility. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.